Good evening, Pat.
Hey, everybody, it's Warren.
Good evening, Warren.
Hi, Warren.
Good evening. How is everyone?
Good evening.
Great.
Pat is joining.
Good
She
evening,
should be
Rachel.
momentarily.
Is that Suki? Hello, Suki. Hey, Tim.
That Rachel is my daughter.
Ah,
Did someone bring Valentine's candies?
I did, Tim. You should be getting it soon.
My granddaughter already passed it around. So
I love it. Isn't that great about granddaughters?
everything's great about granddaughter.
No, it is. It's so true.
Miss Moses, your audio isn't there.
It's not
Oh, yes, it is.
good.
Just to let you know, I'm not going to be available by camera tonight.
Okay.
Alrighty. I'm
You
here
got
though.
You got your Valentine's outfit on.
Excuse me.
Happy
Come on, turn on the
Valentine's
camera.
So she can't come on camera.
Not today, guys. See you next one.
That's
Happy
okay. As long as your-
Valentine's Day,
It's all
everybody.
right. As long as your voice is there, we're good. We'll
Okay.
get,
Happy Valentine's Day, Warren.
oh, just Warren, huh?
Thank you, Suki. Well, no,
And
I
to
just
you
wished
too,
everybody.
Pat. I like the Valentine's Day red.
Okay.
I've got my red too.
Yeah. That's your hunting shirt.
It's my doing work on the house shirt. Ooh, look at Nicola.
Yeah, she's all dutied up. Lipstick and carrying on, makeup going on. We can't hear you.
So I said I have my red on today.
Yeah, I said you got all
Happy
dutied up.
Valentine's.
Same to you. Got your lipstick going on, everything going on over there.
This meeting is playing in Greenport, New York.
Oh, it is.
Mhm.
And I'm glad you could make it.
Well, I didn't know if I would be able to, but my daughter took care of the technology.
You know, young people can hook you up now. So we have 2 more minutes.
Mhm.
So we should be able to run, I mean, we have a lot of material to cover, but we still shouldn't be here all day, but we do have a lot of things that are coming up that we need to be, aware of. So I'll be going into that this evening. But I do plan to keep to the agenda. You know, what we miss, we can always take it up at a next meeting on the old business. Okay, so do you have 7:05? Suki?
Almost.
I can't hear you.
I have 7:04.
Okay, at 7:05, let me know, we're gonna start.
Okay.
Okay, who we missing? Let me see.
Esteban and John. Maybe they actually have dates tonight.
7:05.
I don't know. I had to be here with y'all, no offense now, you know?
Nah, those were the
Right.
good old days, Suki.
Is it 7:05 yet?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so the meeting is called to order at 7:05. And the rules of order for Community Board 9 is still in place. And we just ask that, everybody respect one another, and if you want to speak, please use the raise hand. Okay. Again, I want to welcome committee members and guests, and again, happy Valentine's Day to everyone. So we don't have any dates, so we're here this evening. We're gonna go into old business. I don't think Alicia's here. So I didn't know what was going on with 54 Crown Street. Nicola, are you familiar with back to court? Is that what happened?
No, well, I thought we had updated on the last meeting, went back to the appeals court. The second department had overruled Judge Bodie. We went to the appellate court. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes,
Right.
Judge Bodie called everyone back in. It really was because there were a few outstanding motions for sanctions against the developers and their representatives for violating the TRO and other things that they have done throughout the process.
Okay.
And he basically reprimanded them. He basically, because he knew that if he allowed the sanctions to go forward, and he agreed that we had every right to file the motion and that they could be sanctioned. But the bottom line, that it would get overturned in the second department again. So to me, he put us out of our misery and said he's not going to move it forward.
Okay.
And so he did not approve the sanctions motion. So that case is closed.
Okay, so we can close it out.
Mhm.
I don't know, Michael, did you want to say anything? I know I think he's part of the,
Yes, he's part of the case.
Michael,
No,
did you
I'm
want to say
I'm good.
anything? Huh?
No. So,
Okay.
good evening, everyone.
Okay, good evening. Okay, great. All right, so then we'll close that out. Now, can you just, I can't remember what they're building again there. Is it it's a 17 story, am I correct? At
This,
54. It's 17 stories, right?
right. This was a smaller one. So this was the 17, but by the time you add in the fresh program and the bulkhead, it could go up to about 23 stories. But it's a smaller one. It's a smaller project, yes.
Oh, okay, thanks. Okay, Suki, City of Yes. Okay,
So at the February meeting, we met on February 6th. All the subcommittee members were present, and we decided to vote formally on the list of questions that we wanted to send to city planning. So everybody voted for those, and we added a couple more general questions, which I think are important. Esteban thought that we should confirm the ULURP timeline for the different zoning amendments. And when city planning is going to give a detailed presentation on the zoning code changes to the community boards, because part of the reason we have these questions is that the exact zoning proposals they're making seem quite vague. And then also both Jay and Esteban had questions along the lines of whether these text amendments are going to be part of a comprehensive land use plan for the city that takes into account what's been done, what could be done, what the strategic goals are for different parts of the city, or whether individual districts might be able to vote on certain parts of the amendments separately, et cetera, et cetera. So those were the two questions that we added, and we just voted formally to send the other questions to city planning. And I've emailed all of you a formal letter containing all of those questions. Pat's suggestion to me, which makes a lot of sense, is that we need to put it into a letter format that she can take to the executive board. So I put those questions in a letter along with a fairly extensive background on the city of Yes, the zoning for quality and affordability, and some of the other zoning background in our district, just because to help members of our committee and members of the executive committee who might not be as familiar with some of the background, because a lot of it does stretch back several years. So if you can all check your emails and see, I sent that out this evening. And then we spent most of the meeting on February 6th discussing the zoning for zero carbon amendments and the blast amendments, which are focused on agency rule changes, environmental review changes, a lot of buildings department rule changes. So there were 4 changes under the blast proposal, which the group of people who put that together, the commission that put that together, indicated need to go through the ULURP process. And again, they're proposals at the moment. They haven't started the ULURP process, but they've indicated that those 4 changes will go through the ULURP process if they start the process. And Nicola very helpfully pulled those out for us. I mean, they didn't sound earth-shattering, but again, I think a lot of them could have unintended consequences, particularly if they're eliminating levels of public review and eliminating zoning restrictions in favor of falling back on other agency regulations. Like, for example, there was one proposal to eliminate certain special permits and make things like data transmission towers as of right, or to make remove the zoning restrictions on FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration glide paths. I guess that affects developments that are near the airport. So that's kind of an example of where I didn't think it was necessarily a good idea to remove those levels of zoning review, because zoning is a city law, and like FAA law, FCC laws is federal. And then there were some other changes, like for example, allowing like DEP and parks to make purchases of land for blue belts, which doesn't sound like a bad thing, but why wouldn't that go through the normal ULURP process for city purchases of land? And why wouldn't it be considered as part of a larger comprehensive
Let me cut you off there. Do you have your minutes? Because basically you give us an update, and then
yeah. So we talked about those, and so I mean, we felt like we were not crazy about them, but again, it's very difficult to tell without more specifics.
But listen to what I'm saying
how
to
things
you.
are gonna work.
When you give an update, you just basically kind of tell us like what you're working on. And let me just
Okay, and then the second thing that we were working
what
on.
I'm saying to you is what I'm saying to you is put it in your minutes.
Okay.
An overall update, it'd be like maybe 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
Let me just say something about your where I don't understand where this committee is going, and maybe someone can explain it to me. When I looked at the subcommittee, and I thought this is why you wanted to have a subcommittee, was to actually look into what the changes was going to be in terms of the text amendments, which is 3. So if you look at what the mayor is proposing, when you look at the city of Yes, you also, again, I keep saying to this, you have to look at the other, you actually have to also look at improving New York City land use decision-making process. And the reason I say that is because when they're going to put through these text amendments, they're going to, some are going to be state, some are going to be city, and some is going to be administrative. And you have to know how that fits in there. You can't look at one part and don't look at how it's going forward. Because the questions that you're asking on how something is going to go forward is also going to depend upon, well, again, whether it has to be voted on administrative, whether it's city, Department of City Planning, or whether it's state. Warren?
Right. So they did break it down into different types of actions in the blast report. Nicola, do you want to say anything about that?
No, what I'm saying, what I'm asking is that when you have your meetings, in other words, I don't see how anyone could come to a conclusion without doing the research into what's being proposed. Now, maybe I'm on the wrong page, but I don't think so. Because even things when the mayor talked about those what it was 3 text amendments, I think it was 3. I believe one was the zoning for economic opportunities, right? And I think another one was the zoning for housing opportunities, and another one was zoning for zero carbon. And the reason that I was asking y'all to actually go in and look at what is needed for those things to even move forward, because some are going to be
Right.
state, some are going to be state. So how can you come to a
Yeah.
conclusion
So I was about.
without a research? That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah. So
Okay, go ahead, Nicola. And then,
The challenge is that we don't have a lot of information yet. Beyond the PowerPoints and those presentations, they're not giving us a lot of detail. And so we've been trying to read between the lines and look at the timelines and figure out what we can decipher without having a lot of detail. So what we tried to do is put a list of questions and concerns that we had based on the information that we saw in the presentations and other material that they had on their website. And so I think Suki sent a list of those questions as part of the attachment that she provided you for the update.
yeah.
The key thing that we know is that the text amendment regarding the environmental changes, the City of Yes for zero carbon neutrality, that's the first area that they're focusing on.
Yes.
And I believe that ULURP process is going to begin this spring.
Yes. So that was the second thing that we discussed.
right. So
The blast amendments is almost a separate issue that we talked about because it had been raised. But as Nicholas said, the urgent thing for us now is the zoning for zero carbon.
well, that's what you're looking at. That's not what we're looking at it. I'm looking at it, the whole thing as a whole.
Yes,
Warren.
you're correct. It's all
Yeah, I'm not looking
integrated,
at
but we
that.
have to figure out how the pieces of the puzzle are going to fit
To
together.
work
Right,
together.
and when I looked at Mayor Adams outlined his vision, you have to read that, and then you actually have to, again, this is where you really got to go into, and I did it too, and you got to go back into the New York City land use decision-making process, because some of these, when I looked at how he wanted to move forward, I also saw how you need some votes to move forward. Like the city can't arbitrarily, and what I was hoping that your committee would also look at, administratively, the city can move things forward. So you have to know which ones they're
Yeah.
actually talking
So
about.
what's
I
being,
thought that y'all would look at.
yeah, what's being proposed as part of the amendments, it is strictly related to zoning. That's what they talked about during the City Planning Commission presentation, that some issues are non-zoning, but the issues that they're proposing
Right,
to
I'm gonna have to
change.
cut you off. I have to go to Warren because I don't think you understand what I'm trying to get over to you. Warren, you want to go ahead?
Hey, hi, everybody. Good to see
Mhm.
you. And I say this very constructively, that your committee was, approved in order to find out X, Y, and Z on the city of Yes.
which we're doing.
I'm not attacking. I'm giving support here. My advice is to be extremely focused, okay, and come to a conclusion within the next couple of months. Because
We
as a
can't
community
do
board-
that because we don't have the data yet. They haven't given us the
Nicola.
information to come to conclusions.
Right, you don't
Nicola.
have it. That's what I'm saying, but you have to, that's what I was trying to say about the committee. I don't wanna send anything
What
out
happened to
where.
me? Am
No,
I
no,
chopped
I'm
liver?
not, no, you're gonna come back. I was just answering. You're gonna come back. I ain't cutting you off now. Just
Okay,
have a round. Go
so
ahead, Warren.
Look,
Let me have
everybody,
Warren.
everybody, let me just say
Warren,
this,
go ahead.
okay? That I would assume we need a conclusion of this by June. And I certainly appreciate all the work and effort. And I am certainly not criticizing, I'm supporting. But I'm saying is that you need to come for each of the 3 amendments to a conclusion so the board can act. And I
okay,
understand the problem.
do you want to hear a summary of the
No,
zoning?
no, you have to do
No,
that
I
in the
don't
meeting.
want, no, hello, I don't want to hear anything in that sense. But I know you guys are working very hard, and let's just stay focused and give the executive board and the board, what's on your mind and what your conclusions are. I know the whole thing of not having information, that's a typical city problem, in terms of doing something. But I'm just lobbying for you guys to stay extremely focused and to come to some conclusions.
Okay,
So thank
so
you.
I'm going to
That's
make, I'm going to make 2 proposals to you in order that we can get more information and the whole board can, or at least the whole committee can see it. The first is that I think we should pass
Suki,
a,
I can't, Suki, I'm not gonna go, what I'm trying to say to you, the reason that we have you in a subcommittee is so that y'all can discuss these things at length. They cannot be discussed at length in this meeting. And
okay,
what
but
I'm
you haven't
asking-
given me a chance to say one thing.
You've said a lot of things. And what I'm saying to you is I want you to try to get on the same page. That first of all, I would tell you it's gonna be an ongoing situation. This is not gonna end in June. It's gonna continue to go as long as these text amendments are there. And what I was hoping that the committee would do is whenever they have a meeting, when some of us don't go, make sure somebody is there to report. Let's look at what they're proposing. Let's look at how it's going to go forward. And I think you said something is going forward.
Okay, but I think as Nicola has said, as I have said many times, there is not enough information. And the only way we're going to get this information is by formally requesting it. So I'm going to make 2 proposals. The first is that at our March meeting, we invite a staff member from the Department of City Planning to make a presentation specifically about zoning for zero carbon to our committee and to allow all the committee and subcommittee members to ask questions. The second is that we request that the city council hold public hearings regarding associated issues that, as you point out, need to be passed at the same time, like fire regulations and buildings department regulations, which the Department of City Planning is clearly discussing with the fire department, but they're being so vague about it that even the city planning commissioners are not really sure what they're talking about yet.
I'm going to move on because I don't think you quite understand what I'm saying to you in terms of what we see your committee as to being informational. If you don't have the information, you could ask a certain thing, but you have to look at exactly what they're putting on the table. You actually have to look at exactly what they have in their materials. And then you have to compare it to, you can't come up with a conclusion of anything without looking at what you're dealing with. And trust me, as the months go, like between April, when they start, it's going to be so many meetings. And this is what I think this committee needs to be aware of. You can presume anything, but you need facts. This is what I'm saying to you. And I'm asking you all to please, if in your meetings, if you could just go back and go into what Mayor Adams is outlining.
We have done that, and that's
And
where
then-
our questions come
And
from.
then, listen to me. And then I want you to actually go into the New York City land use. And again, until things start moving forward, we don't have we can't have a view until we know exactly what we're dealing with. That's what I'm saying to each of you.
Okay, but Pat, if having reviewed all of the existing material, we have additional questions, we have two choices: to ask through the committee and through the community board, or as individuals. What do you want us to do?
Okay, I
What
just
do you
told
support us doing?
No, I just
Mrs. Moses,
explained.
I hate to interrupt, but very quickly, I think I understand what Suki and Nicola are saying. I think the best recommendation is that the subcommittee put together a formal ask document and submit it to the ULURP committee, just laying out what the formal ask is, what conclusion you've come to based on the information that's unavailable or available, and ask that the next step be made by the ULURP committee and request whatever action in a formal document, so that we don't have to kind of rehash this conversation at every meeting. Just create a formal ask document to say, we've come to this conclusion. We don't have enough information. This is what we want you to do. This is what we want to move forward to the full board and them to vote on and request.
Okay, so we've done that for housing opportunity. You all have that in your email documents, and we will do that for zoning for zero carbon by the next meeting.
Yeah, I think that would just be the best way, so we can stop rehashing these comments. I get exactly what you're saying, and I understand what Ms. Moses is saying, just so that it can move expeditiously. Once it gets to full board, you have a document that we can circulate to the full board. They can review it once it makes it that far, and they can understand what you've read, what you're recommending, and what you're asking of them.
Okay, Nicola, and then I want to close out.
Because I understand what you guys are saying, but I also know when it reaches the larger community, it may go left.
I guess my challenge is to think that we're going to get the entire board to understand the nuances in order to sign off on us asking some additional questions. I think is going to be a lot of circular motion. If we're just asking,
I'm not saying that it's going to be a document that's going to somehow grant all this larger understanding, but a formal document with the ask, just stating what the committee has reviewed, basically laying out what the amendments, text amendments may mean to the community, what it's going to look like, and what you're requesting and why you're requesting it.
Hi, it's Warren. In addition to Mia's positive comments, we could certainly consider handling this just with the executive board and not the full board. And based upon the submission, we can make a determination. So go to it.
Okay,
Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, if Suki, if you're going to attempt to do this for the next meeting, would it be possible to send an email out with a summation of the major issues before the meeting, so we can chew that over and not initiate it at the meeting, but
yes,
come
yes,
prepared?
yes, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Do you have your next meeting date?
We sent it, I think Mia sent out the 7th and the 8th, so we're still waiting on a couple of replies.
Okay. One of the things I would ask y'all, if y'all can, and if you can, when you go into your meetings, if you can kind of like, if you can give a projected date, that way when we're in this meeting, anybody that really wants to attend your meetings will have the information right up front.
Okay,
I mean, if you can do that before you come here, and that
Okay.
way anybody could come in, because there's a discussion that could be long, and it's going to be long in your meetings, but not in this particular meeting. So again, I want to thank you, committee, but we do have a lot of work to do.
okay, could you all please
Okay, we're
take a
gonna-
look at the letter that I sent out before this meeting?
I can take a look at it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so it's me, non-attendance of committee members. We finally got the letter. And so Rashida is officially moved off of ULURP, so you can now mark her as off the committee, effective. We'll just say effective today. So she's officially off this committee. And we did get written materials. And the material only said that she was removed. That was it. Okay. All right. So, I'm not sure we have a quorum, but you could do a roll call, Suki.
Okay, Warren,
Here,
Suki is present. Thomas,
He's here.
Here,
Pat Moses,
Yeah.
Nicola Cox,
Yeah.
Esteban Heron, absent.
Mhm.
John Craver,
Absent.
absent.
So we do have a quorum because we have 7 members,
Okay.
right? So 5, we have a quorum.
And John, by the way, was going to do additional research for us on the zoning for zero carbon and architect, and he seems to be very interested in that. So,
Okay, well, yeah, you'll take it up in your meeting.
yes.
Okay. Let's see, okay, so now we're gonna go into committee members concerned, but let me just do my update before y'all get into it, so I don't forget. Okay. There's a number of things going on here. Okay. The next project that's gonna come up for the ULURP has to do with 975 Nostrand Avenue. That's where they have, that's where the old supermarket used to be. We will definitely, it's gonna be a ULURP project because the supermarket is gonna be a New York City Fresh program, and that requires a DCP ULURP action because, you know, they want additional square footage. They want the supermarket to be over 20,000 square feet. And per the terms of the Fresh program will guarantee their access to their food. The supermarket is supposed to sit on the ground floor of the building. Now, up above that is supposed to be 327 new apartments. So this is definitely going to be coming up very soon for us. Now, what they asked, and again, Mia, you can let me know. Now, what they asked to do, and which I would like them to do, they want to. It's the Hudson companies. They are the people that's what on the project, and what they want to know, could they come into us and kind of update us as to what is supposed to transpire. And I would definitely like them to come in. Mia, you're aware of that, right?
Definitely. I'll send the link to the committee for the application filing on the website.
Yeah, they want to give us a
everyone's
brief
aware of what they're
update.
requesting.
Yeah, I would like them if they could come in on March the 14th. That's our next meeting, so they could update us as to, and we could ask questions as to what is going on with the Fresh. I guess it's the site. And Warren, I think you know a little bit about that. You've been a part of that Fresh program, am I correct? Warren, you around? Yes, he'll come back. So anyway, what I would like to do is everybody familiar with that 975 Nostrand Avenue?
do you want me to speak, Pat?
Yes, I wanted you, I know that you had been a part of that program, New York City Fresh program.
Well, there's two different things. Where the Economic Development Committee is involved with New York City Grow. But this is a very important question. If this is the associated site,
Yes,
then I believe that Hudson Companies has already committed to give a lease to the old associated management. So
Yes.
we should hear what they have to say.
Oh, yes, but this is the, yeah, I would definitely like to hear what they have to say, but how we become involved is that the square footage, they need ULURP approval.
Yeah, so that's
Right.
something we have to hear from them, and what it's gonna be.
Okay,
And is the rent gonna be bearable for the vendor, meaning the old
Well, they don't
associated,
care about that.
and what it means to the community? Okay, so, I mean, I have certain observations about the supermarkets in our area. For instance, Western Beef has been completely redone, is very nice, but the prices are high. So we have to see what's going on and how this is going to affect our residents.
okay, so, and before we put the motion on the floor, Suki, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say two things. I looked at this in the zoning application portal after you told us, so thank you for letting us know about that, Pat. And the zoning application portal says it's a non-ULURP action, which means that we don't vote on it. I think that it's a special permit by city planning. So the city planning commission gets to make the decision on whether or not to grant the extra floor area for the supermarket. And they most
Suki,
likely
it's Warren.
will.
I don't mean
The
to
second thing
interrupt,
is that
but
doesn't mean
Suki,
that you can't hold a
Suki.
hearing, but we don't have a formal role.
Suki, we've already been notified that we do have a formal role, and that's why it's on the ULURP agenda.
Okay, but why does it say non-ULURP in the
I don't
zoning
know.
application?
All I'm saying is that I know what I read, and
Just very quickly, sorry, excuse me, Warren. It
Yeah.
has populated in our portal in terms of being able to set a hearing date in our login for DCP
Okay.
at the board office. So we definitely
I mean, it
will
doesn't
review.
hurt to have a hearing.
Definitely.
The second thing I wanted to note is about the 327 dwelling units, because in the buildings department system, it says 178. So I don't know whether the plans have changed or whether I'm only seeing 1 out of 2 buildings in the building system.
Okay, that's one of the reasons why I would like them, if at all, if Mia could set that up for them to come in at our next meeting on March the 14th, so that we can, listen to what they have to say and then also ask questions.
The floor area hasn't changed, so it's a question of whether it's going to be small apartments or large apartments.
Well, we don't know that.
Um,
We need to look and see what they have going on. We have no clue until you listen to see what your contractors are saying to you. And then you will know for sure what's going on. So Mia, is there any problem with the date I have, or you have to get back to us, or?
No, we should be good to go with that date. If there's any scheduling issues, of course, you'll be the first to know, and then we'll convey it to the committee.
Warren, can you put a motion on the floor here?
yes, I make a motion that Hudson Companies appear before the ULURP committee on March 14th to explain their proposal as well as the number of apartments.
Right, so but you mean for the Hudson Companies to give us a brief update?
Well, yes, in other words, to tell us what they're doing,
Right, and answer questions.
of course.
Okay, I'm trying to get a good one so that Suki can write a nice line there.
Okay, so I propose that Hudson Companies appear before the ULURP committee to fill us in on what is happening with the project, i.e. number of apartments, what's going on with the fresh, what's going on with the fresh, in order for us to evaluate.
Okay, and we're projecting the date of March 14th at 7 p.m.
Yes.
So Suki, can you read that back to us?
You're on mute.
I can't hear you.
So Warren proposes that the developer of 975 Nostrand Avenue, Hudson Companies, present to the ULURP committee on March 14th to update the committee on plans for the fresh supermarket and any other changes to the development.
No, and also the number of apartments that will be in the development.
Okay, and the number of apartments
For the new development.
for the new development.
Okay, great. Yes, Mr. Thomas?
Can we include the square footage and be sure that they address that problem?
But yeah, that'll be one of the questions we'll ask them, but they're gonna tell, well, my understanding is supposed to be over 20,000 square feet. And I'm reading at something that was online. So, yeah, so we will definitely have some questions for them. So,
Well,
yes,
if you ask them to come prepared with that, so they can't say, well, we're gonna go back and take a look at that.
Agreed.
and Mia,
Got it. I'll reach out and get it scheduled
great.
on the calendar.
Okay, that's great. So that's one project that we know that's coming up. Okay, that's what else do we have? Okay. Okay. On the new business, it appears that the borough president is undertaking a comprehensive plan to address health disparities in Brooklyn. Now, their deputy director of land use evidently is preparing a draft recommendation to the board, and they would like to be on our agenda either April or early May. And that's from the Brooklyn Borough President's Board. Mia, am I correct?
That is correct, Ms. Moses.
So, okay, this is a problem that we're going to have. I didn't realize, but there's Jewish holidays from April 5th to April 13th is a Jewish holiday. So I'm not sure, you know, our schedule for April is going to be a little different. But Mia, whether I get it or not, I like to choose April 4th if I can. I know the schedule's not out yet.
Yeah, I
know it's-
figured.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I saw your email. So yeah, we'll shoot for April 4th for you and try to get the April schedule nailed down as soon as possible. So that if we
Right.
have to rotate anyone, everyone is well aware so that they can attend.
And the reason I picked that is because I feel that this is really, really important. That we hear what Borough Hall is what their plan is and what their draft recommendations are. We need to be listening to what's going on. And sometimes when you get into in May, you know, you get new members and this and that. So I wanted to kind of, if I could, have if he agrees, the deputy director of land use, to come into our meeting on April 4th. That's a proposal.
Okay, so the project or the study was on health disparity.
It's about
But
land use, Nicola.
Land use is now
It's
coming
about
in?
land use. I attended the public meeting that he held in December, and it is really about land use as well as some other economic indicators. But it is definitely a comprehensive land use plan.
So they want to set time out to present their draft recommendations to us. So that's why I felt that it was extremely important that we, you know, see what's going on there.
So I'm just curious. I think I was Fred and I were the only people from the board who attended that public meeting in December. And I don't know how many other people have actually read the draft existing conditions report. but that's really long and it's really important. And if people haven't had a chance to go through that, and I'm concerned that we as a committee have not had any chance to discuss that yet and to give feedback to the borough president, because many parts of the aspects of the data that he had in the existing conditions report were not accurate for some reason.
Wait, this is what I'm saying.
And
There's-
Pat, I'm asking, can we have more? I know you're usually the one who says that we need more time, but I'm asking if the committee can have more time, if we can do this in May or June. Because we haven't discussed this at all. I'm not sure if anyone other than me has even looked at the report.
I would like well, first of all, they only gave us April or May, and I would like them to come in as soon as possible and do their presentation to us as to what they're proposing, so that we could in turn, that's how we could make a decision on what it is that we're listening to and what it is that what our input could be. So I would
Right.
like them to come in April so we can.
I mean,
see what they're
I think you
saying.
should, I think that the committee should have input on the existing conditions report, not just because the recommendations will be based on the existing conditions report, and we haven't discussed the existing conditions.
Well, let's hear them first, and then I think then we can make a decision on which way we want to go. We need to listen to what they're saying first and to meet with us so that we can ask questions if we need to. Anyway, I'm gonna propose a date of April 4th, if we can.
I don't think the committee's ready.
I
Ready to
disagree
listen?
with that, Suki, it's Warren. We have to be very careful with using health as an excuse for development. And we see
Right.
that with Brooklyn 1 in terms of what's happening. I agree with Pat that we're not ready until we get the input, as you just stated in terms of US New York. So let's move ahead with the input and then we can decide.
Okay. Listen, okay, so before I go forward, I had a motion on the floor. Did I complete the other motion? Now I'm all turned around now. There was a motion on the floor. Did we vote on that? Did we all agree to vote?
Is the
on the first
motion
one?
for the date, Pat?
I need to go back,
No.
huh? Yeah, for the 975, did we vote on the one for 975?
No,
Okay, that's why I didn't think so. So can we vote on that motion
Yes,
first?
second,
All in favor? Okay, who's gonna second it?
Warren.
Well, you put the
You
motion on the
you
floor.
put the
proposed it,
motion on the
Warren.
floor. I'll second it.
Oh, I
Nicola.
like monarchies.
Okay,
I'm kidding.
Nicola, okay, come on, we're getting out of order. Nicola, second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any objection? Any noes? Suki, you got no vote one way or the other, huh?
Abstention.
Extension?
Yeah, I mean,
It's the
I'm
975.
just, I'm just very concerned that our schedule is filling up with things
No, we're in the
That
middle of, we're in the middle
are
of.
not the major
yeah.
things. I mean, I think, I listened to a community board 14 meeting recently about the borough president's
We're not on the
comprehensive
borough
plan.
president. We're not on borough president now. We've got a motion on the
And
floor.
they're already meeting on their own and doing work on their own. And they're making recommendations to the borough president. I'm very concerned that our committee is only receiving recommendations and we're not in a position to ever make recommendations of our own because we're not putting this on our
Suki,
agenda.
Suki, I'm gonna cut you off because you're out of order. What we got a vote for 975 Nostrand Avenue. That's what's on the floor now.
Okay,
So that's, we haven't dealt with yours yet, and that's gonna come on the floor. But right now we'll deal with 975. So the motion passed. The motion is gonna pass. So now we're dealing with, can I get a motion, put a motion on, well, we don't need a motion really, because they want to come into our meeting to speak with us.
Yeah, you don't need a motion here.
I
That's
do.
a decision of the chair.
Okay, so go ahead, Warren, put the motion.
No, I just said you don't need a motion, but I will.
I don't need a motion.
No, because you're the chair. You can set up the agenda as you see it.
Okay. Well, anyway, I wanted them to come in on April 4th. Mia, you'll do a follow-up for me? You check with the,
Yes, I will follow up and update the committee.
right, because I
send
think you have to
all
check with the
notifications.
chair, because I'm not sure as to what the chair is, you know, I mean, how all that set up, but I'm trying to get a date way ahead of time before it gets all filled up. Because like I said, that's gonna be, those holiday time is like taking a lot of our time out. And I
So
wanted, I'm sorry, go
is
ahead.
this going to be our only opportunity to meet with the borough president's office about this issue? Are we just going to be silently receiving information? Are we going to get any drafts ahead of time so that we can review it and come prepared with questions and concerns
No,
about
what
what they're proposing?
I think what we're gonna do is to listen, and then I think from there, we can draw out as.
Pat, they've already made
Saying.
a proposal. There's already a report out there that's like 50 pages.
Well, it's gonna come, whatever they're proposing, their recommendation is gonna come in front of the committee and let us hear it. Because
No,
everybody.
because I'm assuming that what they're bringing to the committee is part 2. They've already brought part 1 to everyone. We just didn't talk about it.
That's the current state analysis.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to request any updated materials and forward it to the committee as soon as I can. I'll request it tomorrow, any updated materials, especially if they're requesting to come forth in front of the committee.
Okay,
So that
thank
you
you.
guys
Mia.
have the opportunity
For the
to really-
April 4th you're speaking on, right? Is that the one you're talking about, April 4th?
For the BP's
Okay, great.
grand appearance.
And that way we can all read it. Okay. I'm taking up a lot of, seem like a lot of updates here. But I'm trying to get it all in before before June gets here, because then again, we break. So I know it sounds like I'm crushing everything in there, but I'm trying to get it all in there at this present time. Also, let's see. This is just another update on Thursday, February 16th. This is for board members. I think they're going to have a workshop for a workshop on program monitoring and evaluations. And that's scheduled for Thursday, February 16th at 6:30 p.m. And again, that's Borough Hall. So I'm gonna try and make that. It's a 90-minute module, by the way. And they say it's a introductory session framing typical community board projects within the practice of monitoring, evaluation, and project cycle management. So that's their first workshop. So I just wanted to bring board members, you might want to attend that. I know it's a lot of meetings we all trying to go to. I also, did anybody go to the MTA meeting they had on the 7th in terms of the bus routes? Can somebody, can somebody give us just a brief update? Nicola, can you give us a brief update?
It's a lot of detail. You'd have to.
Oh,
I mean,
it's a lot. I thought you could just give us a small update.
No, it's a
no,
lot.
they're changing all the routes.
They're
Oh.
gonna change all the routes. Dante and I are gonna try to develop like a summary that we can circulate
Oh.
to the community and to the board members, because essentially they're going to take the 49 off of Bedford, place it on Rogers, northbound, place it on Nostrand, southbound, have an extension of the 12 running across Empire and terminating at Lincoln Ocean Flatbush, also extending the 48 down Ocean to Parkside to connect to a new 55 route that's supposed to go to JFK, extend the 48 to the Navy Yard, additionally take the 43 southbound off of Brooklyn and place it on Albany, and create a new
In other
route
words, it's a
coming
lot.
from New York.
It's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's a lot.
It's a
We're
lot.
gonna create a summary document that kind of highlights all of the major routes that will be affected and supposedly added. And also moving the 44 off of New York to Rogers onto the bus lane there.
And they're still talking about a
I was gonna say, my key takeaway is that they're still soliciting input. So if we have, as a community board, and our residents have concerns about some of the changes that are being proposed, or if we have other changes that we think makes more sense, that feedback can be sent to them. Because they were
Definitely.
they were getting that kind of feedback on the call, and they're still looking. So they've made recommendations, but it's not 100%
Definitely
written in
not
stone yet.
solidified, but definitely want to let people know exactly what the changes mean to each route in a very pedestrian breakdown, so everyone knows what's happening, because that whole redesign document is very large.
Oh,
But if it makes more sense to tell a senior that you can no longer catch the 49 on Bedford. That's more realistic and brings more understanding than showing them a 100-page plus document.
okay. Mr. Thomas?
Did they include traffic counts in their meeting? To support
Yes.
their proposals? They did. Because the Rogers bus route is packed with school buses, not just MTA vehicles.
Right. Rogers is a parking lot during rush
Yes.
hour,
Yes.
as we all know and all can observe.
Mhm.
All of our
the
major
bus
thoroughfares
lane
are
is
parking
usually
lots.
blocked with delivery vehicles when I see
And
it.
Delivery
on top of
vehicles,
it,
people
yes.
who are just skirting enforcement, don't want to move.
Well, there's a
it's
plumbing
hard.
supply place
I-
that takes up that whole lane all
Yep.
day long.
Yeah, I just want to make an observation. I think that by eliminating certain lines on the east side of our district where I live, what's going to be the bus service via downtown? Because if they take it off of East New York, that's an essential route.
Okay.
That's my comment.
Yeah, Mia said she'll give us a briefing and they'll try to put something together so that we'll all
Yeah,
kind
definitely.
of take a look at it and, because what I
Yeah,
hear what y'all
also,
says.
Nicole, are you going to you and Dante going to present this to the transportation committee?
You mean
You mean
me?
me?
I think you meant me. Yeah,
No, I meant-
it's a.
I mean, Nicola and Dante.
Nicole and
Me-
Dante.
Mia and
I
Dante.
mean, Mia and
Oh,
Dante.
Yeah,
Mia and Dante.
it's a
Okay.
document
Oops.
we're going to develop and circulate to not just the transportation committee, but to the community at whole, just because the
Yeah.
redesign document itself is just so large and people just don't know to go to each route and break down what the changes are. Like sending
Right,
a
so-
bus down Ocean is crazy.
Mhm. I
Yeah,
think
so
Brian
essentially,
Cunningham's office is also working on something.
Okay, so
Definitely,
what
but
you
we
present,
definitely need
Mia
something
and
with more
Dante,
pedestrian language for everyone.
So that'll be
what
going
you
to the
present is the effects on the board, on our district, because that's what we're concerned with.
Most definitely, it's going to be specifically district centric that breaks down
Excellent.
each route in the thoroughfare so that everyone understands what these changes may mean if they're implemented and finalized and implemented.
So
Perfect. Thank
that
you.
would go through what? The transportation committee?
It will go through transportation, but we're going to circulate the document outside of transportation just because people need to know what's happening
Yeah.
and what it'll mean for everyday life in the district.
Okay.
If these
Sounds
changes
good.
are implemented.
Okay, and the last thing that I have is there's applications that's been filed for a landmark work type. They have 4 applications that's under review. So I think you can go in, I think they can go into the website and see those docket numbers and exactly what they want to do in terms of, because when we're dealing with the landmark, they can only do a certain amount of things. So I'm not sure as to if any of that, if any of these ones under review is going to come to our committee or not. So it depends on what they want to have done. And it's under review right now from the city. Yes. Can't hear
You're
you.
on mute. You're on mute.
Were fire, police, and health emergency services represented? Because on Rogers Avenue, emergency vehicles cannot get through there now. And if they're gonna add another line to it,
Are you talking about the bus?
yeah.
Oh, we'll see when they're gonna give us a small little review of what's gonna be happening.
No,
So that,
and Nicola was at the meeting, right?
yeah, but Mia is gonna, they're gonna put something from our
Yeah, we're gonna put it
office
together and
now.
circulate it to all of the committees and all of our listserv and post it on our constant contact on our website everywhere. Just because people it's a very heavy document, and if you don't know what to look for, you don't know what the changes are, the proposed changes are. So we're gonna circulate it to all of the committees and the constituents in the district.
People don't know this is coming and it's major changes. They're taking away bus stops. They want to expand the distance between bus stops, which will have a significant impact on our seniors and our students. So we'll see. But like Mia said, she's putting it together. It's a lot.
Okay, great. Okay. We're really kind of going over time, but I had a lot. I'm gonna, Warren,
Yes.
there's some applications that is gonna be under review for, the historic district.
Mhm.
I should say, Mia, is there any way you can get that information out to the, committee members? The applications, because it's a number of us, about 4 of them.
Yeah, those actually may run through housing.
Does it
If they
run
have
through housing? Well,
depending on the nature of the construction. I believe if it's minor, it goes through housing.
right, but the
If they're
ones
not doing
I,
anything significant alterations, then it goes
Yes.
through housing. But I will confirm that and I'll let the committee know. I'll send a formal correspondence.
right, and the reason that I thought that there were at least 3 of them was gonna come through us because they were dealing with the windows, the doors, the front side, rear yard, and that type of stuff. And I remember that coming in for, coming forward last time we met.
It
Depends
depends
on what they
whether
want
it's
to do to the
staff
outside.
approval or not.
Hmm?
It depends whether it's staff approval or not. If it's a staff approval, it doesn't come before the community board at all. If it's not a staff approval, then it's the board's choice whether they want to put it through the ULURP committee or through the housing committee.
Well, I
Correct.
just want everybody just to be aware that it's under review. That was it, just to update you. Not quite sure yet. We didn't get all the information yet, but that's what I see so far. I'm just kind of giving you updates.
I'll update you guys. Don't worry. I'll send an update.
Right,
I'll send it tomorrow.
it's important because we did have a couple that came in for, I think they wanted to do some major changes and that you can't change the windows, everything got to kind of look alike and the doors can only be this and that. So I don't know what's going to come in front of us. But my point is that in the event that once the review is finished, it may have to come in front of us, even if they're just going to update us as to what's going on. So we got a pretty heavy schedule. Look like things are just piling up on us at the last minute. So moving forward, that's all I have to say. Does any other committee members want to say anything? Suki?
I just wanted to raise some concerns that have come up a lot on social media for the neighborhood lately. People have been complaining about popular stores and restaurants closing, like Bluebird, which is on Flatbush, just past Lefferts, I think, and the Gandhi restaurant on Bedford and Clarkson, which actually might be just outside our district, but a lot of people know it. And I think there might have been one other too. And I want to point out that these are all like small buildings in R7 or mostly R7 zoning. And so they're development sites. And this is something that we need to be aware of how zoning is going to impact our neighborhood. It's the homeowners, but it's also small businesses. It's also people who live in apartment buildings. And so that's why I think it's incredibly important that when we look at the Borough President's report, we are thinking about all of these things and we have something to say from, the community standpoint.
Okay. Community residents, is anyone from the community want to bring something forward to us that we don't know about? Do the raise your hand. Okay, we have Teresa and who, I'm sorry.
No, I'll say this is Rod Herbert. I have nothing to bring up.
Okay, Rod, thank you. Teresa?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just heard, even though maybe it's not for this committee, but I heard you all talking about the buses. I feel like CB9 could be doing a much better job of outreaching to seniors and people who are not on the internet with various concerns, especially the buses. Because I find a lot of people in my neighborhood who are not on the internet, which is quite a few actually, have no idea about the bus changes. So how can we reach them? I noticed CB9 does no mailing to the community ever because there's no budget for the post office when I looked at the spreadsheet. So could we do that?
Hi, this is Warren. Teresa, what do you mean they do not have access to the internet due to what?
They just don't have internet. Like a lot of
Why?
many, especially seniors, they don't have
Okay, well,
internet.
see,
They don't have
I'm
a
a
computer.
senior.
They don't have a
Yeah,
smartphone.
yeah.
I mean, this is
Uh,
common.
Teresa, I'm a senior, and while not debating that people don't have this, if they need access, there are so many programs for us as a senior to get that connection. In terms of how do you distribute to people in this day and age who do not have internet connections. I don't have an answer for that because, as you said, there are no budgets for mailings at this point. So it's something we should talk about, and I'll be happy to talk about with you for the future. So let me know when you're available, and I'll meet with you. Thank you.
Okay,
Also,
thank you.
very quickly, Ms. Westerdahl, as we develop the summary document for the proposed changes, it'll be available through the board office. We'll gladly make copies. If anyone wants to come pick them up and circulate them within the community, that's great as well. We literally do not have access to every concerned constituent's contact information within the district, and we know there are many. Some people just have never reached out to the board, so we don't have their contact information. So we rely on our network, which are our board members. If you know of any seniors, or if you live in an apartment building, or if you're part of a block association, if you get a document and you have the ability to circulate it, we would gladly make copies and you guys could come and pick them up and circulate them. And that would be a great help too, in terms of getting the word out to people in need of information who may not have access.
And I thank you for that information and thank you, Teresa, for your concerns. We are going to close out. But before I close out, I'm just saying it's a lot. Okay, I believe that we're not going to be having Zoom meetings. I'm just guessing. After June, I think in September, I think we all probably going to go back live because I'm looking at what's going on with the city now, and they're saying that people don't need masks, they don't need this, they don't need that. So things are opening back up. So I guess you will probably know before we do. But
we may be in person before the end of the meeting session. So things are very tentative. So we may be back in person sooner than we think. So we're waiting for tentative instruction.
True. And hopefully we'll have a house to go in, you know, we start having the meetings. But I'm preparing in my head that we are going to go live soon. And it may not be, it may be in September or whatever, but I have a feeling that we're all going to come back together. And people that choose to wear their mask, wear their mask. People that choose not to wear their mask, don't wear their mask. But so we're just going to play it by ear, and that's it. So our next meeting date is March the 14th at 7 p.m. Before I do a motion to adjourn, is anyone else from the community want to update us with anything? Community residents concerns? Teresa, your hands up again? Oh, I guess that was from before. Nicola?
Sorry.
I thought Nicholas had raised something during during our subcommittee meeting that we told him needed to be presented or addressed to the broader ULURP committee regarding the development on over by Wingate.
That was a ULURP issue?
The Kingsborough development, Mr. Almanor?
Because he was raising several concerns during our meeting, and it was like, well, this is not really in our scope of City of Yes. It's really something that needs to be presented or discussed at the ULURP meeting.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know what it is, but anyhow,
Okay.
I guess he will bring it to our attention. Anybody else want to say anything before I close out? We're a little late this evening. But I think that we have some projects that, you know, that we can go online and get some additional information. And some of those projects are relatively kind of thick, because I've been trying to get through some of that, you know, the reading, especially the one coming in from the mayor's office and then coming in from the borough president's office. A lot of material is all coming to us at once. So that's why I think that, you know, if we all don't get it, then we can at least try to know where to look into or refer someone to it, you know, so they can read it on their own time. Mr. Thomas, before I close out, do you have anything would you like to say?
This idea of liaison between unrepresented people is interesting to me and something that we've not generally addressed. There are lots of them, seniors, homebound people, even people on my block association. And half of that's my problem because I haven't gone out to ask them, what would you like me to present for you at the community board meetings? And it seems that needs to be some kind of a concern that might be addressed in other ways besides me inviting my block association members to give me input.
Okay, thank you. And if you have concerns, as Mia said, if you can send it into the district office and let them take a look at it and see, you know, what areas you're talking about and see how we can get the information out to them. Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it is now 8:15. I want to thank everybody for coming, and I will see you at the next meeting. And
Looking forward to it, Pat.
yeah, I know you're looking forward to it, Warren.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy
to
Yes, and
everyone.
to everybody, happy Valentine's Day. And again, like I said, we all gonna be seeing each other in person soon, so we gotta dust them outfits out. You know, we had to put them on in a while. We got to dust
Just
them
get
up.
rid of my
and come out.
pajamas.
Yeah, you probably got them on now.
You bet.
So take care. Suki, you
Take
and I
care,
will talk.
everybody.
Okay.
Be safe.
Okay,
night.
take care, everybody.
Take
Bye.
care.
Night, everyone.
Thanks.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Night.